So thanks for taking the time to sit down. It's been a while actually. I think since we last spoke.
I was trying to think when the last thing was that we did together.
It might have been the book club, the manga.
Yeah, Manga Pod.
We read Bleach, which I
Holy shit.
actually, yeah,
Oh my
I
God.
actually remember enjoying more than I thought, considering how bad Bleach gets later.
I don't know what you mean. When all of their weapons turned into people, that was the best arc. That was great. They made all the weapons hot at the same time. It was insane.
I think wasn't that a filler arc too?
Absolutely
Oof,
was a filler
oof.
arc, yeah, and it went on for
Oh
so long.
God! Now you're in England,
I
which
am.
is that's I would actually love to hear about that because I've never been.
Oh.
And the only place I've been to in Europe is Ireland, but I would love to make it out to England at some point. And I guess just starting off, like what moving. I mean, I assume you had visited before.
Yeah,
Or
my husband's family is in England, so we moved out here because basically like when Sam and I first started talking to one another, he had an opportunity to come to America for work stuff. And so we were like, "Hey, we could like give this dating thing a shot like in person. That would be tight." And
Sure.
and he just wound up staying in America for years. There was a brief period of time where he was back in England when his visa needed to be renewed, and we got engaged and stuff. And then when we got married, I was basically like, I know that you really miss your family, and if you ever want to go back to England, like I'm down. It's my turn, right? Like I'm ready for that adventure. That's fine. And so when
Yeah.
we had our kid, I think it was like, yeah, I want to be near family now. I want to have that support system, and I want Clark to know, her cousins and all of that. So we wound up moving literally right before lockdown.
Wow, you dodged a bullet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
I mean, first off, that's like a very like brave thing to like, be open to. Just like go into a completely different country. Like that's I guess to be fair, he came here, which
Totally.
is also,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but still, like that's I think quite a commitment, and I think very thoughtful. Now, and I guess my question is, since moving there, what were like some of the biggest differences, I guess, in let's say maybe the culture or just in general,
It's hard to tell because I haven't had an opportunity to live a normal life here yet.
That's true.
Because it's been lockdown and then lockdown light and then lockdown again and then lockdown light and then lockdown again. So really, when I moved out here, the only people that I knew were Sam's family, and then I have a couple of friends, like streamer friends and YouTuber friends out here. But I've had friends that have moved from like East Coast to West Coast, and then obviously like with Sam moving to America. I know that normally it takes, I don't know, like 1 or 2 years before you feel like you kind of get it culturally,
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that because last year was kind of a wash, that
Yeah.
I'm gonna give myself like a cool 3 years
Sure.
before I feel like, I kind of have my footing. And
Yeah.
have friends that are like outside of Sam's family and stuff like that. But where did you guys move to? You guys moved to Los Angeles, right? Where did you guys move there from?
We moved there from Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was quite a jump, but and that was about, oh God, at this point, the void year always messes me up, but about 3 years, 3 years ago, we moved here.
did you kind of experience that? Did you feel like at first when you came to Los Angeles, you were like, fuck, and then it got better after a year or two?
Interestingly enough, I adapted pretty quickly, but I think it's just because I had been so ready to move for so long. Because for me, it was like not only career wise with the voiceover and me just being like I gotta get out there,
Sure.
but also by the time I moved out there, I had been out there several times, and I had made a lot of friends. Whether it was through mutuals on Twitter or even just meeting them in person. So it was this. It was kind of like pretty smooth transition in that I wanted to be there. I mean, the biggest sort of hurdles, not hurdles, but like sort of changes are the fact that traffic is so fucking terrible here.
Yeah.
And also because of California has stricter driving laws, and I have really bad vision in one eye, so I can't drive anymore, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a big sort of surprise, because when I went in to get my license renewed, or like get a California license or whatever, turns out in California, if you have like in most states like Michigan, as long as one of your eyes is like working perfectly, you're good.
Right. Yeah.
And I had been driving for like fucking 12 years or whatever, no problem, yeah. Right? So I figured, oh, that should be fine, right? I'm not expecting at all. I was expecting just going to DMV, come on out, back to normal. But no, they were like, oh, your left eye, it's essentially legally blind.
Wow.
Like it can see, but it cannot see well enough, like on its own. And I failed the eye test, and they were like, yeah, if you want to, you would have to go to a doctor, get a formal written permission thing. Then we would consider letting you take the driving test again, and then
what a pain in the ass.
and then maybe like you'll get. And I was like, you know what? I talked to my wife about it, and I was like, because I was like, fuck. I was like, I have to take the fucking driver's test again, and I got to do all this shit. And she was like, you know what? You hate driving. And I was like, you're right. I do hate driving. She was like, fuck it. Just don't get, And so, yeah, at that point, it was just like, we have one car. So, like, if, she has no problem driving. So if sometimes I would need a ride from her or Lyft,
Yeah.
And then with quarantine, turns out it's not as big of a problem.
Not an issue. Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, when you're stuck at home all the time. So, yeah, that was an interesting shift, but otherwise, a lot of it was actually for the better. Like, weather-wise, I'm done with seasons. Fuck winter. I can't stand winter. I never want to live through another winter again in my life.
Oh,
I grew up in Minnesota and Michigan, so I'm done with that shit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think having a nice, welcoming friend base here, and having sort of knowing what I wanted to do career-wise and sort of pursuing that made it. I was excited to move here, basically, so it didn't feel too roughish. Now, if I had moved here right before lockdown, oh god, I would have been for me personally, I made a mistake.
Right.
I made what did I do? Luckily, even during lockdown though, voiceover's been going well because
I was gonna say, I'm sure everybody says this, but I feel like I hear your voice in so much shit now. It's awesome. So congrats.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, there was this sort of period. This was around March. Funnily enough, the day I went into before I went into lockdown, I went in for a record, and then I was like, okay, it was supposed to be a group recording, but because this was right when COVID was just announced, it was getting serious. They were like, okay, it's just gonna be you in the studio. I was like, oh, okay. And then I finished that, and I was like, huh. I got in the car with my wife, and I was like, huh. Well, I guess we'll be sitting inside for a month, huh? I was like, this can't be more than a month, right? I can't imagine having to stay indoors for one whole month.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
Do you typically like to get out a lot?
I do, but it's. I mean, I would say more so. I'm used to having people over.
Gotcha.
I play a lot of board games, and so I'll have a lot of different friends over. And yeah, I would go out also semi often, for either work and or just to hang out with people. But it was a pretty, I mean, it still has been, but, pretty significant, like, change in my life of, I talk to a lot of people who, not a lot of people, but some people I know who are like, they were pretty much like homebodies to begin with. So they were like,
right.
It didn't change too much, but even for them, it's kind of stretching their limits. I thought I was like that, like, oh yeah, I'll look forward to like having like a bunch of time, like an excuse to stay in and like, I don't know, read more or do whatever. But
right. Start my sourdough like starter, do all that shit.
Yeah, do all that shit. And then after a month, I was like, yo, fuck this. I miss people. And I realized I am, I guess, more extroverted than I thought. So it was one of those things.
My friend Angie was saying something kind of similar. She was like, I don't think I realized how touchy I am until I could not touch people. Like, I am so used to, I'm a huggy person. I hug all my friends. I touch people a lot, and I can't see them and I can't touch them. And I'm realizing like how much that affects me mentally. It's really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's once you take a lot of things for granted, right? Like whether it's, seeing other people, even touching other people, like you're right, like just giving a hug or even like a just, it's jarring. Now, I guess during this time, what have you been up to in your free time?
Oh, I did the whole like, I'm going to read so many books. I'm like, I have a lot of books that I want to read. It's really difficult for me to get engaged with them. It's really rare for me to just sit and chomp a book,
Sure.
So I got, I don't know, like 75% of the way through The Hobbit. And then, that's still just been kind of sitting there waiting for me to finish it. I can't use the excuse of, well, I just don't want to know how it ends. 'Cause fuck, I know how it ends. But I don't know, for some reason.
Maybe that's part of it though. It's like, I already know how this ends. Like,
maybe. Yeah, maybe that is part of it. But I love doing like DIY and building projects. And when I had to move, I basically gave all of my tools away because it was just, we just wanted to downsize as much as possible before we put stuff on a ship and like flew out, So I gave a lot of my cooking stuff away, a lot of my tools away. And I think, because we were stuck inside a bit more than I expected. I was going, man, I really want to do this. Oh, shit. I actually don't have what I need to do that. So the last year has been a lot of me realizing, oh, I guess I should get this. I guess I should get this. And
I see.
Trying to do some projects like that. But fortunately, my kid is starting to get to the age where she's really interested in trying to do like stuff with me if she sees me doing things. So she's been cooking with me a lot, and that's been really fun. And I've been trying to like get better at embroidery, and so I found like a needle that isn't really sharp, and she and I have been like messing around with that and stuff. And so I think that's been kind of a nice element, is like, what can we do that's a little bit different today? It doesn't have to be different for me. It can just be different for her, and it still winds up being engaging because I'm trying to teach her something,
Yeah. How old is Clark now?
She's almost 3. She's turning 3 in April.
Wow.
I know. Wow. What is time?
That's crazy.
It's wild.
What are like her favorite things to do, just like in general?
Currently, she likes putting on talent shows, which just right. It's really just, she asks us to introduce her, to the ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries, and then she walks out and she dances. Yeah. And then if it goes on for really, really long, and we're like, "Yay, good job," she's like, "I am not finished," and then she keeps dancing. She'll literally dance until we're like, "And we really need to do something else." She really enjoys making muffins because
nice.
She can sneak like fistfuls of sugar if I'm not looking.
What's her favorite muffin?
Blueberry.
That's the best muffin.
She can play with the frozen blueberries. It's really fun.
Gotcha. So it's not even for taste, but for play value.
It's just for play value. Is the whole process from start to finish good? Obviously, it rounds out with you eat a muffin, so that part's great. But like, was the making it process also fun?
Nice.
Really into bugs, really into dinosaurs. I don't know. She's just loving life, so it keeps us positive because she doesn't know any different, for her, like we didn't have any family or really a lot of friends that knew how to take care of kids, so we were basically everything, like we took care of her exclusively up until the point that we moved. And then we were like, yay, we'll finally have family around, and family can help out with Clark, and we can help family out with their kids. And now, we can't really intermingle at all. Yeah. So that was kind of a wash over the last year. But it is. I'm kind of glad because, again, like she doesn't know any different. She didn't like suddenly have this life of like seeing a bunch of family and a bunch of friends and all of that sort of ripped from her, and us having to explain that to her,
Right. Yeah, so there was no like sudden transition to a different. It's still pretty much, as far as she knows, like same old.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same for her. So
that is good. Now I know she's pretty young, but has she expressed any interest in like what she wants to be, like any like goals or anything like that? Like I remember when I was her age, I wanted to be a teacher. Actually.
Oh, that's very wholesome.
And that actually I actually thought I wanted to be that for. I even considered it in college actually, and then I was like, no. But I did think for a while. So I was just curious. Yeah, okay. No, but you know what? Right now is the time for honestly muffins and dinosaurs, and honestly, I wish I could go back to that life.
As far as she's concerned, work is playing games at the computer, because that's what Sam and I do when we say we're working. So she has a little, a friend of mine sent kind of a busted like bright blue keyboard out for her. So she'll like take her little keyboard and like smash it and be like, I'm doing important work. And we're like, oh, right. Enjoy yourself.
That's great. The only reason I bring this up is, remembering Manga Pod. But have you been reading or watching anything good lately on the weeb end?
Oh gosh, Sam and I actually last night started watching some of the new season stuff, but it's a lot of like second seasons of stuff, right? Like second season of Dr. Stone, second season of Reincarnated as a Slime. Sure. Caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen and all of that sort of stuff. He won't watch Noblesse with me. Did you ever read Noblesse?
Which one's Noblesse? I have not.
It's the manhwa about vampires.
Oh yeah, I did not. Is it good?
I don't know. Well, the manhwa, I really like the manhwa. It's sort of all over the place, but I'm fine with it. It's kind of popcorny. But the anime, it's a Crunchyroll original, which I guess they're like going for all the manhwa at Crunchyroll because they did Tower of God as well. Tower of God, and are they doing what's God of High School? Or is that somebody else? Yeah, God of High School is another manhwa. Is that one a Crunchyroll too?
I have no idea. I think so, but okay. No, I did. They actually this Noblesse thing. They did this thing where they sent a bunch of people pizza boxes with this on it, including me. They were like, I think one of the people emailed me like, "Hey, do you want a pizza?" And I was like, "Yes." So they,
of course I do.
Yeah, sure. I would love a free pizza. So they sent me a pizza, and it had, let me see if I can find the photo for you. But it just had big old Noble. Emery was like, "What the hell?" My wife was like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, it's pizza.
Vampire pizza.
It's vampire pizza. Vampire manhwa pizza.
Yes.
Oh yeah, here it is. I enjoyed the pizza. It wasn't bad. No, I have not seen this, but I wonder. To be honest, it doesn't look like my thing, but maybe the manhwa might be more up my alley.
I think it seems like it's gonna be like a Bishonen staring at the camera sort of thing. Which it does have some really sick fights in it, and it's got some interesting like story beats. But it suffers from, hey, whatever happened to that guy syndrome, right? Where they'll pull at a thread and then just kind of drop it, and you're like, wow, I hope we get that payoff one day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we got maybe halfway through the opening theme, and my husband was like, this seems weird, I'm out. Just walked out of the fucking room, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm watching this by myself.
But
so
like Jujutsu Kaisen or whatever is fine.
Jujutsu Kaisen's tight. Yeah, it's really good.
No, I hear that's great. I think it's funny. Like I'll watch Jujutsu Kaisen and all these other ones, but Noblesse, I'm out.
I think it doesn't help that when people hear, oh, it's a vampire anime, they immediately think, like fucking Diabolic Lovers and shit. Like, oh, so where's the harem? Where's the creepy scenes? Where's all that shit? And that's not what this is at all. But like, there's sort of an assumption on things that might happen in it, Yeah,
I see. I may have to tell my wife about this because she has been watching all sorts of vampire things, like anything with a vamp. She watched like Castlevania and like Buffy and American Horror Story and just anything vampire or horror, even especially if it's schlocky. She's absolutely been devouring lately. So maybe I'll have to tell her that Noblesse. She came in and she was like, "You didn't tell me JoJo's Bizarre Adventure had vampires." I was like, "Oh boy." Oh boy.
For a reason.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I maybe I'll tell her about it and she can let me know.
Wait, oh my god, I might have a YouTube video recommendation.
Yeah,
for
what's
your
up?
wife.
What's up?
There's a YouTuber called Jenny Nicholson who made there's a 2.5 hour video called The Vampire Diaries video. And
shit.
She literally has like a conspiracy board up and explains everything in detail about the vampire. I've never watched it.
Yeah.
And I watched this entire fucking video because it was so funny.
Damn.
Just like explaining everything that's going on with this show.
Which one is the vampire? That's a live action show, right?
Yeah, it's got Riverdale vibes in terms of quality. It's vampire brothers who fall in love with a perfectly normal girl.
Of course, yeah. Oh, but do they fight for her affection?
Absolutely. And one of them's the bad boy and one of them's nice. But he has a secret dark side if he drinks human blood. All that shit, So
now, did you start watching it, or is all your information just from that video?
Oh my!
I'll have to check out this video because her stuff is really funny.
Her stuff is so funny. Hold on, I'm linking you the video.
Yeah, I'll have to check this out. Because I do love videos that just kind of deep dive into things I don't give a shit about, but they make it funny. People do that with like Kingdom Hearts and like other things, and that's always fascinating to me to hear about these
regardless of how good the video is. You're never gonna touch that.
Yeah.
It's like I can just enjoy this without getting mad or getting my hopes up. I'll just see what you've created and then move on with my life.
It's kind of like with like some shonen manga in the past. When I fell off of them, I would still keep up with them by reading the wiki sometimes. I'd be like, what happened in this? Let's see what happened to old Naruto, because I never finished Naruto. Did you finish Naruto all the way?
I didn't. No.
Where did you fall off? Oh, you don't remember where you fell off?
I got right past the pain arc, so I got pretty far.
Oh, I think you got farther than me. Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't get far enough that I feel like I can really watch Boruto, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I think you're fine. I think it's fine too that you don't need to.
Yeah, like there are fight scenes occasionally that people will put up on Twitter, and I'm like, wow, that was a tight fight scene.
Yeah.
I assume that anytime something cool happens in Boruto, somebody will put it on Twitter, and I don't have to watch all the in between.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I especially have less investment, I think, in Naruto. I fell off in the middle of that arc. A character dies in that arc, and I was like, I don't care anymore.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was like, I don't care anymore. Yeah, and so
it was difficult to keep going for me as well. It's like, do I care anymore? Oh,
right.
fuck.
So after that, I fell off, but my wife is interested. She never watched Naruto ever. When I only showed it to her like a couple of years ago because she's like, I was like, you've never seen Naruto? Let's just watch a little bit of Naruto. And now she's expressed interest in like watching that, like because she didn't grow up like a dirty weeb like me. So like I think she kind of got into it more around, let's say, like Gurren Lagann era, right? She kind of got back in or got into, obviously she watched like Sailor Moon and Pokemon as a kid, but then there was this period where there's like Inuyasha, Naruto. She specifically was like, we should watch Inuyasha. I was like, fuck it, I'll watch Inuyasha. It's been like forever, but
oh my god, yeah. I never enjoyed Inuyasha.
I liked Inuyasha because I think first off what helped was I read the manga first, which I think is better. But I have a soft spot. Even weak Rumiko Takahashi is still fun. It just, obviously the show just and the manga meanders. It's just like going around finding these goddamn conjewel shards. But she like missed out on this sort of like that discovery period of weeb time where you're watching just anything you can get your hands on. Naruto, Inuyasha. Sure. She kind of jumped back into like the Gurren Lagann and was watching good stuff from that point on, but never had that like nostalgic time of I used to watch Naruto or Bleach and all that shit.
Right, and it always like it sounds like you're trying to flex, but it's never that. To like talk to somebody and be like, yeah, well, I would go onto like the old GeoCities websites and I would find people who were doing fan subs, and then I would send them a VHS tape, and then they would put their fan sub onto the VHS tape and then send it back to me. Yeah. And sometimes you had to go into weird IRC chats and be like, hey, does anybody have, I don't know, Kamikaze Kaitao Jun? I read about that on a random website. It seems cool. Yeah. Like just, that weird period of like, I don't know, I'll try it. I hope it's not hentai, but like, who knows? I have no other info to go off of.
You'll try. First off, you want to watch as much as you can, and it's not easy to. It wasn't as easy to. I mean, now it's like kids these days, like they have like 5 different streaming services. An embarrassment of riches. Yeah, 5 different streaming services, all like half of them dedicated only to anime. It's like, God, you guys have it good. Like, I had to,
and I'm glad it's so nice because I think now when people say, "Oh, I would love to start watching anime, but I don't really know what to watch," I think there's more of a comfort level about being like, "Well, what are you into?" Because I can guarantee you that there's something good in a genre you like that is available to you, which wasn't always the case. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think anime over time. I mean, it's just gotten, there's so many different, not only genres, but just sort of like premises, right? Genres and premises, and I think also anime is slowly making more and more steps to be more inclusive as well. Mm-hmm. So it's overall like, I would be hard pressed like hearing, like, let's say someone's never seen anime, but I say, what other shows do you like? What other things do you like? I can almost always give them at least one strong recommendation for a show. Yeah. Have you? Actually, before I ask anything else, I do like to give the guest an opportunity, if you would like, to bring up a topic or ask me a question, if you would like. No pressure, but if anything comes to mind. Otherwise, I'm just gonna talk more about other shit.
When you were talking about, because I do know that you're a huge board game buff. But I haven't ever known. Do you play TTRPGs at all?
Not so much, no. More like just board game and card game stuff. but do you play a lot of tabletop stuff?
A lot. Yeah.
Okay. What are your main genres, like D&D or?
D&D is the one that more people know. It's easiest to like put together a group of people to play D&D, I think.
Sure.
But my favorite system is called Fate.
Oh, okay.
It's really fun because it's sort of everybody tells the story together.
Oh,
it's more like that.
Okay.
So basically there was a group of us and we all wanted to do a game that took place in space, and we were trying to figure out the right system to use and decided on Fate because like, you know, one person was going, well, I want to be a killer robot, and I was going, I want to be a slime monster, and another person was going, I want to be like a space elf, you know, and in order for all of us to be able to be whatever crazy alien we wanted to make up, we needed a system where there weren't any preset races or anything like that. It was just, you know, you figure out what it is that you want, and then you create statements that are like your primary who you are and what you care about, and et cetera, and then as you play, you pull from those statements in order to do actions. Okay. So my like primary statement was that I'm the future richest slime in the galaxy, right? So he's greedy, he's a slime, he's et cetera, right? So that statement encompasses a lot about me. Sure. And then when I'm doing things, I can be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to slip through the drain. And I can do that because I'm a slime, as is evidence in my statement, right? Oh, okay. But then also other people in the group can compel you to do things. There's like an in-game currency. So somebody could say like, hey, because you're a slime, I think it would be cool if you like turned into a drink and tried to make somebody drink you and then made fun of them for it. And you can choose to be like, sure, yeah, I'll do that, right? And it creates like interesting like that's a really stupid example.
That's an awesome example, honestly.
But it creates opportunities for other people if they think of something interesting or something compelling or just something stupid. They can be like, hey, you should do this, and then you can decide whether or not you want to do it.
It's almost got like an improv-y sort of feel, right?
Totally.
I guess my question is, but you said there's no like one DM or GM or whatever. I don't play tabletop
There
games.
is.
Oh, there is. Okay.
There is still a person who's like guiding you through the game, but anybody at any time can compel.
I see.
And the compelling aspect is essentially you saying like, hold on, what if in the story this happened instead?
Oh, you know? Okay.
And so it's like it's a built-in way for everybody to contribute to the story and come up with their own ideas and not feel like they can't really like butt in or tell each other what to do. Like telling each other what to do is literally a mechanic.
Okay.
Which is fun. Yeah, it's a really cool system. I've wanted to run a game in Fate.
How long would you say it takes to like learn how to play, roughly?
I don't think it takes too long.
Okay. 10 minutes or like 5, you know.
Oh. I'm trying to think how long it took to sort of understand just like the basic how-to of the game. I would say like 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay. That's not
to get everybody like on the same page, you know. And I also feel like if nobody really knows how it works at first, it's fine, because if the DM does something and everybody's like, wait, is that how that works? You can just kind of house rule it and be like, sure.
Okay. I think I've always been kind of I've played D&D once. I've always been intrigued by like TTRPG stuff, but to me, I think the barrier to entry, which is strange because I've played so many board games, but it is kind of like I wouldn't say this is the first barrier to entry. I think the first is like dedication of time, right? Like you got to like dedicate a lot of time, and you know, if you're gonna, especially if it's like a recurring campaign or something, that's the first thing. But the second thing is kind of learning it. Like D&D to me just feels, as an example, I know there's plenty of other ones, but just as a baseline example, there's just so many things you gotta know. And I guess if you're a player versus a DM, or do you say DM? I don't even. This is how little I know. Okay, yeah. I guess the player has less to worry about, but there's still like, even when I was playing it, like, you know, my friend kind of stripped it down and made it like more palatable, more simplistic. But even then, I was like just not really sure about everything that was going on, and I felt like I was missing out on a lot, rules wise. Whereas I think a lot of people, you know, since they grew up with it, and just have poured over those rules and just know them, it's a lot more intuitive to them.
If it helps,
yeah.
I still don't know all the rules perfectly.
See, I think that does help, but that would for me, that would just bother me. So, because I'm the person who's like, I want to know all the things, you know, just to,
Sure.
But I also understand to let yourself just kind of, you know what, you're a character in a story, and just, you know, know what you need to know. That I can respect that as well.
There are also, because you're not the only person that has this problem, right? And I think more and more people are also wanting to find like what's a simpler system that maybe my kids could play, you know? So there are systems like, I think it's called Quest RPG, but I can't remember. There's also Dungeon World. There are ones that are like, okay, you only use D20s or you only use D6s. There are no turns. It's just kind of like, you know, it's more of a storytelling sort of thing that tries to take those mechanics and sort of pare them down to the basics and have it be more about, you know, like, okay, why are you all adventuring together? You're keeping a secret from him. What's the secret? You know, like prompts like that to develop interconnectivity between the characters. And then it's just kind of go, have fun. So I think a lot of people are thinking about that specifically. Okay. Like, how do we make a more accessible version of this idea? And also some people are trying to put together, you know, how can I make a one-time sit-down version of this idea? You know, how do I make something where you can tell the whole story in one go if you want to? Sure. So
that would also be...
People are definitely trying to do that.
That would also be a big help if it was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm down to play like, we can play like, you know, 6 hours or whatever, but if it's like, as long as it's like one sitting, that would make things a lot better. One thing that really makes me interested in this fate system is, and this is another thing about D&D. Well, there's two things about D&D. One, I can't, high fantasy, I don't care. Just I'm falling asleep just thinking about it. So like the fact that fate can be pretty much right, it can be anything. Yeah. Like we could be like plumbers or something. We could be
totally
that. I want and I know my wife, because my wife is really into D&D, and she's like, well, it doesn't have to be. I'm like, yeah, but isn't it? Don't you kind of have to make it kind of fantasy? Like, it's all based off like clerics and like, I don't care, all this stuff. Like, I don't feel. I would much rather play something where it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want in this world or this kind of type of universe. Now let me ask you the second thing that I find really I don't care for in D&D is you said in Fate that they're not turn-based, but how long do the battles take?
I mean,
are they shorter?
I would say that,
or about as long?
That's a difficult question because depending on the person who's running it, they might want it to be like more of a
meaty fight.
There's a puzzle here. I'm Dark Soulsing this, and there's like, there's elements that you need to figure out in order to defeat this thing, and that means it'll take longer. I'm pitting you up against a monster that technically you're kind of underleveled for, so yeah, the fight's going to take a long time. I think it depends. When I've done like Dungeon World games, they haven't taken that long. Okay. But I also feel like in my situation, because I'm kind of a younger DM, I think in my situation it was that I gave them something that was too easy, right? So it's hard to say.
Sure.
But I think that you can, that's one of the nice things, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but that's one of the nice things is you can say, like, I would rather that we do a game that's more role play focused and less combat focused. And like, if there are fights, fine. But like, I don't want to be sitting there, you know, trying to figure out like the fourth element that I need to unlock in order to take down his third ability and then defeat it, right? So like,
yeah, to me, the combat was definitely like the least interesting part. It was really more of the exploring and interacting and RPing more so. Which is kind of why like board games are so attractive to me in that they usually have very elegant, very like, combat systems of just, they're usually not too complicated, but offer enough tactical thinking or whatever to make it very satisfying without having to do without having to draw it out for like a long period of time. But
what board games have you found have been the easiest to play with people during lockdown?
So I keep bringing up this website on the podcast, but it's great. Board Game Arena. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Yeah, that's been the best way for me to play games with people. Just because it has like I think the most elegant interface. Now, games on there like some of the most successful games for me, because I play with like a variety of people. Some people who play like really hardcore, and some who are like are pretty new. But have you ever played like Liar's Dice, like Perudo? No. Liar's Dice is just a very simple like bluffing game where everybody rolls 5 dice under a cup. And then you're like trying to like make bids. It's the card game like Bullshit where you're like bidding up and up and up. So it's like you go, okay, I think underneath all the cups there are 10 5s, and the next person has to go either raise the bet or they have to be like, I think you're wrong. And so it becomes a thing of, does this person looking at their dice actually think that there are 10 5s, or are they just trying to raise the bet to keep it going? Because what happens if you call someone out and then we reveal the cups and they're wrong, they lose one of their dice permanently. But but if you challenge them but they were right, you lose a dice. You lose all your dice, you're out. It's really simple rules. I mean, there's a little more than that because the ones are wild, so they can count as any number, and like you can like either go down to, they're called birds in Perudo, but you can go down to birds or increase it back, double it, and go back up to regular numbers. There's like a little more nuance, but it's still at its core of just a very pure like poker-esque like bluffing game, and it's very satisfying to be like, somebody says there's not 12 6s, I'm like, yeah, and then you reveal and there are like, and then you just go like, haha, fuck you, like very very pure like in your face sort of the same satisfaction you get of like revealing a good poker hand. That's been very successful. A couple like card games, and then in person, it usually has to be stuff that's like 2 players. So, escape room. Have you ever played like an escape room board game, like Exit the Room?
No, I actually had no idea there were escape room board games, but
Whoa.
Of course there are.
Now, do you like escape rooms?
Yeah, I love escape rooms.
Does your husband like escape rooms?
Yeah.
I would recommend, they're called Exit the Game. There's a whole slew of them. Now, I will say they are basically one-time experiences each. So try to get them cheap. And they're relatively, like, I think worth what the price is. Like, but basically what an escape room game is, at least with those games, is it's a puzzle, it's not a puzzle, it's many puzzles in a box, and it's like a story, and it's like, oh, you're locked in the museum, and with this deck of cards and this sort of like manual and these tools, you're going through the story and you're solving puzzles to continue, and you're timing yourself too, because you score yourself at the end of like, what was your time, how many hint cards did you use, that sort of thing. But I will say, as far as puzzle design goes, there's always at least one, usually like 2 or 3 there's probably like 20-ish puzzles in the box, but there's usually one or two that make you go, oh my fucking god, in terms of brilliance. You're like, it completely changes your idea.
There are so many of these. Holy
yeah,
shit.
It completely changes your idea of like what a board game is. And it's like, I would describe them almost as like, you're familiar with like, you know, Kojima-esque like things in Metal Gear, where it's just like, how could you think of this? Like,
you're right. Like what sort of madman? Yeah.
So these games are designed by this couple. I think it's like a German couple, and they're just genius puzzle designers, and it really does give you the feel of like an escape room, because it's like, okay, to unlock the next stage of the story, you gotta like unlock these 5 puzzles, and then okay, we did those, all right, we got those, now we can move on to the next part, and it progresses and progresses. But if you like puzzles, if you like escape rooms, I would say just pick one up to start. They're usually they can take you about maybe, I'd say 2 hours ish, but it's well worth it, especially like considering how well designed they are.
That sounds super fun. Sam and I have always been bad about like, since having Clark, we're basically like ships in the night most of the time. It's like I get up, I'm with Clark, and then I start working. Clark has a little bit of alone time, and then Clark and Sam are together while I'm working. And then once I'm done working, we have dinner together, and then Sam starts working, right? So we've started just taking every Wednesday night off together, which has been really nice. This would be so fun to do one of these nights.
I highly recommend it. Now, they do come with like difficulty levels on them, so I would say if you're not sure, if you're like, just get like an easy one to start. But I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly sure you will enjoy it. It's definitely like a very unique experience, especially for a game. If you're careful with it, you could regift it, but the game does kind of encourage you to like cut things up and like, write on things.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say, I don't mind like getting this full price, because I could just like give it to other members of the family. But if you literally like destroy,
you don't have to just. Let me. How much does an exit the game cost? Like, they're usually like what? 10?
It's showing up as like $13.
Oh, okay, that's easily worth it, because for me, I tell people, listen, how much does a real escape room cost? Like, think more than $13. So like, you're playing with 2 people. That's $6 each, and it's gonna be like 2 to 3 hours. You're basically spending like $2 an hour for like really fun like puzzle solving. So I always tell people, like, because a lot of people have hangups of like, are you familiar with like legacy games like Pandemic Legacy?
Yeah. People
are like, oh, what, you only play it like 20 times and then you can't play it again. It's like, how much time do you have? That are you playing all your board games 20 times? Because for me, playing a game like 5 times is like, wow. Because I mean, for me, I'm always like trying to play the new game, the next new game. But like, getting like Pandemic Legacy Season 1, have you played it, or are you familiar?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you familiar with Pandemic?
Yes.
Okay. Like, Pandemic Legacy is a story. I would recommend this as well, actually, if you like Pandemic. It's a story-based campaign Pandemic where you play a game of Pandemic, and then all the decisions you made and everything that happened on the board is permanent. So it's like, if this city got diseased in your playthrough, it will stay diseased in the next game. And it's like, you have this deck of cards. It's very similar to the Escape game, because you get like a deck of cards and it's a story, and it's like, don't look past this card until you play it the next game. Because what will happen is like, episode 2, here's the twist. Like, now the game changes. Like, you unlock new things. It comes with like 20 boxes you can't mark like A through T or whatever, that you can't open until specific moments. It's like, all right, now open box C and read what's inside and put those components on the board. It's like, it goes wild.
That shit's so fun.
That's
awesome.
One of the best board gaming experiences I've had. I have Season 2. I haven't played it yet, but Season 1, I highly recommend. Like, especially if I would say it would work well with 2, but let's say, pandemic's off. Okay, yeah. Pandemic's done. Now play Pandemic. Like, if you can get, like, I played it with a group of 3, I think 3 or 4. If you can get, like, a regular group, it's extremely fun. Like, one of the most satisfying experiences. But it's a game where by the end you cannot replay it because you literally are like destroying cards. You're putting permanent stickers on the board.
Right.
You cannot replay it. But for me, it's like, and people are like, oh, but what's the point? It's like, because you played it like 20 times and it was a great experience. And I mean,
yeah.
I mean it's absolutely worth it. And like if you really wanted to, you could buy another one and play it with like a new group. But yeah, I as long as the game is excellent,
worth it to
it's
me.
Absolutely worth it. So I would recommend both that and the but especially the Exit the Games now, because those I know work extremely well with 2 players. Which I think a lot of people have been asking me on, like, what are like good 2-player games? Cause especially because people are
I'm sure
stuck at
everybody's
home.
blowing you up like, hey, what can I play with
No, yeah. I ended up making a video that's like, here's 25 of them. Never ask me again. Like, here's 25 2-player games, the best ones. Now I never have to answer this question again. It was easily like one of the most frequently asked board game questions.
I'm sure.
Yeah. God, I went on a board game tangent, but I fucking love board games.
No,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
this is kind of it's a big heel turn. Have you ever watched Cracking the Cryptic?
No, what is that?
On YouTube? It's entirely a Sudoku channel.
Whoa, I think I've heard about this. Is this the one where like they go into like super complex Sudoku shit?
They do wild Sudoku puzzles on there.
Okay.
I've
heard of this.
I didn't realize that there were so many different types of Sudoku and like different rule sets and all of this other stuff. And like the guy who does them, I wish I could remember his name, but the guy who primarily like plays through them, they have a team that makes sure that they're like solvable and then gives them to him, and then he records himself doing it like sight unseen.
Yeah.
And he's so giddy the whole time he's playing, like while he's doing, he's like, wow, this is just lovely, this is so well put together, like what a fantastic puzzle. Like it's just like wholesome puzzle solving. It's wonderful.
That's honestly me with a lot of board games. But yeah, and hopefully that's the feeling you'll have when you play Exit. But I'm
literally buying it right now.
Oh, great! I would love to know what, like, if you do play it, what your thoughts are, because it's great. Especially, which one are you buying actually?
So I put Forbidden Castle in my basket.
Okay.
Is there a specific one that you think is just like?
Let me pull up the one I've played. A couple. Let me pull up the ones I've played that I can personally recommend. I would say Abandoned Cabin is a good one. Pharaoh's Tomb is good, and Mysterious Museum was good. But like I don't know how easy those are to find. If they're expensive, it's not worth it to pay more. But if they're around that $13 price, those 3 are pretty solid. But I would just like to know, not the spoilers for the puzzles, because I'm going to play those at some point, but I would love to know your general reaction to the system, because the system is usually it's the same. You'll see when you play it. There's almost like a decoder wheel and stuff. Anyway, it's a really ingenious system.
I know that I'm trying to remember what it's called. I used to get ads for it all the time, but there's like one of those monthly subscription box sort of things where every month you get a package in the mail in like an envelope with all kinds of like weird stamps all over it. And inside it basically treats you like you're some kind of either investigator or like an agent. And it gives you like puzzles and like ciphers to solve and things like that. And that always sounded so cool to me.
That does sound actually rad as hell.
I'll see if I can find it. If I can, I'll link you to it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, as I'm sure you can easily tell, I love puzzle solving. This may be an interesting topic to bring. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but have you heard of Notpron?
No. What is that?
Okay. Oh boy. So Notpron. Okay. How do I explain Notpron? Notpron is a game, and I don't think I've talked about this on the. Maybe I did once on the podcast, but whatever. It's an online sort of puzzle game experience where, I'll link you to the first page. You don't have to. You don't have to do it, but you'll see what I'm talking about. This is the first level, and all it is, and
would you like me to do it on the podcast?
Well,
am I opening this now?
Do you have Firefox?
I have Chrome.
I think it'll be fine for now. Let's say you do actually get into this, you'll need Firefox eventually, I think, to make it easier. But if you open it, and everyone, you could go to notpron.org/notpron/level1.htm, and
oh my god, I had to close it.
So go ahead and you just got to get to the next page. Okay.
I clicked it and it said go in the door, and I opened the door, and then there was a really loud room tone sound. So
you can
because it put me on edge.
You can mute the sounds. I will say people get scared. Like, is this like a jump scare thing? It's not. I promise. It's
okay.
The sound effects you can honestly turn off. Now each level, it's just you got to somehow get to the next page, but it's very wild how crazy it gets. So for level 2, for example, you can do this on your own time as well if you're just curious. But it's how would you get to level 3? What would be a way to do that, you think? Off the top of your head.
It says the door is closed, trick it, or reach level 3 in a different way.
Mm-hmm. All you got to do is get to the next page, basically. You want to get to level 3. How would we get to level 3?
Well, there's a hand pointing up,
mm-hmm.
which I assume is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably change the address to level 3 and then hit enter. Great.
And now you're on level 3. And
great.
So very easy to start. Extremely easy. But I'll let you, if you want, you can move, but just to give you a sense of what it's like. That's the premise.
Okay.
This was made in 2004. It's still up, and
2004?
And 17 years later, I believe only 100 people have gotten to the last level.
How far have you gotten?
Oh man, so this is the tragedy. What happened was, so they used to have a Hall of Fame. They still have it, but me and some friends, because I never heard of this, but I have a friend who was like, do you know what this is? Because he knew I loved puzzles, and I was like, no, right. I've never heard of this. And I will say, if you do get into this, I will say I think it's level 8. If you can do level 8, and see just how crazy the puzzle is for that, I think you will enjoy Notpron, because it is a game that just stretches your mind of how things work online. What do you need to do to and then it gets into just crazy puzzles later. So there's this Hall of Fame that we wanted to get into, and now it's I think because too many people cheated.
Oh no.
So they don't accept submissions for the Hall of Fame anymore. Because there are 138 levels, and there's 82. This is kind of a spoiler for those who are interested in Notpron. It goes up to 82 positive levels, 44 negative levels, and then 12 Greek levels from alpha to new or whatever. And we were in the Greek levels.
Oh shit.
And then we got stuck on a puzzle. I forget which one it was. But it was just some of the craziest puzzle shit I've ever done. And it took we had a group of 4 people. We would just meet on like every other week and be like, all right. And we would spend like 5 hours, 6 hours on one of these floors because it gets to that point where you're like, what on earth is this asking me to do? And then the level of like research sometimes you have to do. Sometimes I don't want to spoil any puzzles for anyone listening to this because it is a journey. It is absolutely a journey. But I'll just say this: sometimes the page will have like a Google search bar, which means you got to use Google. That's all it's telling you. And there's something you have to learn or something you have to figure out or find or, oh my God, now this is like maybe motivating me. Let's just go. I need to go back and like maybe tackle this again.
I got to go deep. Got to get
back
in.
got deep. We got deep. But I like October 2020, they closed submissions for the Hall of Fame.
What? No, that's so recent.
I know. We started before then. What? We started like, I want to say, I don't know, like June or something. I forget. So we were like, we can do this. We can do this. But now they don't accept. I mean, there's still satisfaction to doing it just to do it. But I will say, I did want to get our names in that Hall of Fame.
I bet.
But people ruining it for everybody.
Dude.
But yeah, Notpron, for those of you listening, if you like puzzles, it gets insane. Just absolutely insane. And there are like threads of people who can like tip threads and stuff. It's almost impossible to find like spoilers for a lot of the later levels intentionally, because people didn't want other people to get far.
Sure. That's actually awesome. I think.
But I think
that's so rare.
I guess now though, because that's why they closed it down, that people must have been spoiling shit or something. Yeah. But anyway, Notpron. If you're ever like itching to do some puzzle solving, I would say get Firefox and then try Notpron. Like if you have puzzle friends who love puzzles, it's really fun to like sit down and go, okay, what is the next thing? Because there's always this excitement if somebody goes, I'm on the next page, and everybody else is like, what did you do? Like, wait, what? You're like, yeah, it's like I hit level 40 and everyone goes, oh my God. Like, it's a very, very addicting for puzzle people. But
that sounds really fun. Yeah, it totally makes me want to like get a couple of people together and be like, let's do this.
If you do, let me know how it goes, and I can even maybe offer some like tips for stuff I remember, because but I'll tell you, if you do it, I think it's number 8. It's around that point. There's this ingenious puzzle at level 8, and that's so early, right? Like I've done like hundreds of these, but I still remember level 8 has this puzzle that my friend was like, if you like this, if this is something that is fun to you after solving this, it will compel you to continue as far as you can. So this is a challenge to you and a challenge to the listeners as well, because I don't think I've given a full pitch on this yet. But yeah, this turned out to be a very puzzle themed, puzzle and tabletop sort of themed episode, which I can get into. But we're about at the hour mark, so is there any last things you wanted
that
to
flew by.
any last things you wanted to bring up, or
not that I can think
Gotcha.
of. This was nice.
Yeah, no, I
just chill and talk about games and stuff.
I had a good time, and let me know if you do any of the things, exit or Notpron or whatever. I'd love to hear about it.
Literally, I've ordered the exit games.
Hell
They're
yeah.
already on the way.
Hell yeah.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. Where can people find you?
I primarily stream. You can find me at Dexbonus, DEXBONUS. And I do a lot of just like chit chatting with a cup of coffee and talking about my kid, talking about D&D, whatever, and playing games. So yeah, it's a good time.
Well, go follow, or not follow, follow all the Twitch stuff. This is how much I know about
Put your
Twitch.
eyeballs
Put your eyeballs.
on my
Put your
eyeballs.
eyeballs on her eyeballs, and yeah. But thank you. This has been great, and hopefully there will be a lot of puzzle solving in your future.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you for the Rex.
Absolutely.